Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing something a bit different again, because I'm going to show you my model horse collection. I have over 3,000 models, I don't know exactly, of every different size and shape and colour. And today we're going to do a quick overview of the collection. If this gets enough attention, then I'll probably do an in-depth discussion of all the different, like do a section on Breyer and a section on Schleich, but for today we're just going to do quite a brief overview, because as you can see, there's quite a bit to get through. And yeah, this is my loft. It's full of plastic ponies. And I think we're going to start, if we start with the Breyer maybe, and then work our way through the Schleich and the My Littles, and then we've got all the other random stuff. So yeah, let's get started. So before we start, this is a quick disclaimer that this is part 1 of 2 videos. This part is mostly looking at Breyer, so if you're more interested in like Schleich, My Little Pony, be sure to check out the second half of the video, although I would suggest hanging around for the Breyers, obviously. So we're going to start off with shelf number 1, which I suppose I'll show you a big overview of. This is like my favourite Breyer shelf. This is a lot of the moulds I collected as a child and some newer ones as well. And yeah, traditionals, there's a little line of classics, a lot of stablemates. So I suppose let's get started. So we have at the top, we have my Cleveland Bay Conger. They're such shelf hogs, they have to go at the top because they don't fit on the other shelves. And in front of them we have the Burl Haflinger foal, which is the only classics mould I really like seriously conger. And then in front of them we have the little Highland pony stablemates. I don't really conger any stablemates moulds, they just come to me in lots, and I get occasional ones I like. So we have them. At the end we have the 2 dogs that came with the protocol on the strapless mould that we'll see later. And we also have on the end the only 1/6 scale model that Breyer have ever done, Camilla, and an elephant that is very, very small. And then we have the big boy conger. We have the Othellos. There's also another Othello on the end over there. They are slightly different, I swear. So we have all of these guys. As I said, I'm not going to go through them all individually because that will take all day. But this is special because this is the mould that I first started collecting. This Fox Valley Oliver is horse number 1, Breyer number 1. I got him in like 2009. He's in fairly good condition considering I got him when I was quite young. He's just got that ear tip missing, which in all fairness, my Winter has as well. A lot of them do. So yeah, I swear these Bay guys are different. I swear they're slightly different. But it's nowhere near a complete conger of Othello. There's so many, but it's a good sized conger, certainly an expensive one. And then we have some stablemates at the front. I'm really not going to go into them in too much detail. That's the Cantering Warm Blood mould, and also the mini Othello at the end. And then next row down is another childhood mould. You'll notice a theme on the shelf. So the Idicus in the middle there is one of my childhood ponies. He is more beaten up. He was secondhand. So we have them, him, and then we have the Bristol mould, which I absolutely love, but super expensive to get any of the limited editions on that mould. And then at the end we have Winx, which isn't my favourite mould, but I pulled the Glossy Surprise last year, and it feels wrong to put her on any other shelf than the best shelf. And then again, another row of little stablemates. And then the next row down, another childhood mould, but I don't actually have my original guy on this mould anymore. But this is the Salinero. And then we have a newer mould, which is the Morgan Stallion. Really pretty guy. Another newer mould. In fact, the rest of these are all newer moulds. The, what's it called? Cantering Warm Blood, I think. And then the Shire, and then Vallegro on the end. Love the sculpture. And then another row of little stablemates. And then bottom row, you guessed it, another childhood mould. We've got the Show Jumping Warm Blood, which I really love, but it really annoys me that They're all different because of the way the stands are. They're all slightly different sizes. They don't look very good all lined up. But we have all of them. And then at the end we have strapless, another childhood era with that side saddle set on the end. I don't usually keep tack on models, but that one, the bit actually goes through the model's mouth. So I don't think there's any way of getting it off. So that stays on, and it looks really good as a set. And then loads of Stablemate canter and warm buds that I don't collect, but I have a lot. And then at the bottom, I've got loads of like Saddle Club books, childhood books again. And then we have this little side shelf, which has got the overflow of the Othello conga on. It's also got the lovely Arabian mare and my absolute grail pony, which was Oasis. And at the end, Hickory Hills Wall Street. I'm still waiting for them to make her another regular run donkey because I love the mould, but I can't get any on it for a reasonable price. And then these stablemates are like some of the shrinkified ones of the traditional moulds, which I'd like to put next to their traditional counterparts, but they don't really fit. And then we have the Flashes, which are very, very squished in there. The Christmas horse this year is a Flash, and I don't really know what I'm going to do. They're going to have to find somewhere else to go. But that's a really cute, again, another childhood era pony that I absolutely love. Flashes, the original Flash is one of my original ponies. And then we have like the mini Albies and some other minis. And then we have one half of my newsworthy conga. Well, first off, we have the Weather Girls. Again, all childhood era again. Sunny's another one of my OG ones. And then we have loose mane newsworthies. Really like this little jumping Connie mould. And then we have the Fell Pony, because she fits there and she's cute. And the new little Astrid. And in front of them we have Stablemate moulds. Stablemate foals, which are really cute. And then my arm's aching now. On the bottom we have the braided mane versions of the newsworthy mould, which are also really, really cute. Seemed like the easiest way to split the conga. I don't know what's going to happen when I get another one on that mould. But I think I have almost a complete conga of these guys. I'm missing some of the rarer ones, obviously. But in terms of like regular runs and obtainable for under about £300 a piece, I think I'm pretty much there. I even got Zulu to keep the conga complete, and because he's adorable. And then there's some more stablemates and some more books and some Schlectables hiding there. And also, while I forget, we'll do this little display that I have, which is just like some barns and stuff that I picked up off Marketplace over the years. Very unfortunate rider, and just some doubles, really, to show off some of the tack as well that I've got over the years. And then Breyer wise, this is to the right of that shelf, we just have the little, on top of my Schleich shelf, which we'll get to, I have a little Fighting Stallion conga, because that's about where they fit. I have those guys. I really like those guys, but there's so many regular runs, so I just go for my favourites and what is cheap. And then we have the classics, the Rearing Stallion, which is slightly different, but basically the same mould. And then at the end, we have the little Stablemate version, which looks super duper cute. Now we've moved on. We've got them up there. We're down here now. I'm crawling on the floor. Because this is in my loft, they have to be... The shelves can't be normal high shelves because you can see the roof thingies in. So these shelves along the sidewalls can only be two traditionals high, basically. So that's what's happened here. But these are some of my, none of them are my least favourite, because I don't keep models that I don't like, but some of the ones that I don't look at every day. And we have the semi-rearing Mustang, which has really grown on me recently, actually. And then we have the infamous Welsh cob with the infamously bad feet. I'm sure we'll never see another regular run of this guy, but he's cute. I like him. I've got, there's only about 7 releases on this mould. And then at the end, we have poor little Secretariat. He's cute. He's fine. And then at the bottom, we have a Smoky hidden away down there. I don't really know why. And then we have a Lady Phase mould, which I don't collect at all, but they've come out with so many nice colours on this mould, especially the treasure hunt ones, that when they arrive here, they don't leave again. And then we have stablemates again up the front. We've got a rearing Andalusian and the Hanoverian mould, which I really like, but I don't even bother putting them up anymore. They just live like that. And the stablemates at the top of the stock horse stallion, I believe. And then over here, and it's not the best to film because there's shelves behind me as well, but we have the Milton mould, which is a mould I do really like, especially the Christmas horse from this year. This guy, he's really, really cute. And then we have Wixom and a couple of silvers that I try to keep away from because that mould is really expensive. And then again, some more little stablemates up the front. And then down here we've got some of the more moulds that I'm not very keen on, but I like to try and have one of every mould. I don't, but if I haven't got one on the mould already, I don't get rid of it, and put it that way. So we've got the Frisian, the American quarter horse ones, a couple of the Fields, which I do actually really like, Lady Roxana, the Sherman Morgan, which is probably my least favourite Breyer mould. I'm sorry, Pony, I don't really like you. And then on the end, it's the model is Film Flam, but I can't remember what the Roma, isn't it? I think the mould is. I mean, not super my cup of tea, but there we go. And then more stablemates. And next up, I've realised I forgot to mention Spirit. I couldn't see her from the other side, but he lives there. He's another one I don't really like, but he was £4 at the car boot. You can't leave that behind. And then next we have Gem Twist, which is the first mould I ever tried to properly conga. We didn't get too far, but I really like this mould anyway. It's super cute. And that one, which is the picture perfect one, was the first model I bought from the US, which was a dangerous thing to start doing. Then we have the Peruvian Paso, and we also have a Cortez C. Sort of looks like he's just been dropped there by me at some point, poor guy. I think he must have been on one of the other shelves, but then he's been lifted off. And then we have Harley D-Zip, Man of War, which is almost a complete conga. Accidentally, I think I'm missing like 2 of the ones that are somewhat obtainable, and I do have 3 of the original guys for no reason other than they're slightly different. And then Kennebec Count and Joffa, and then Integrity at the end, leaning up against something as she always has to. And a load of little guys, obviously. There's always little guys. And then we have Monty Roberts Shy Boy, the Buckshot mould. Down there again, these are ones that I'm not that keen on. The Misty's Twilight mould, which is a very interesting mould. Another one I don't think we're going to get a regular run of anytime soon. Then the Highland Pony, the Haflinger even. There are a couple of Highland ponies in there, but the mould is the Haflinger. I have quite a collection of them. Don't really know why. They come and they don't leave. And then the Icelandic and Zippo Pine Bar at the end. The very orange Zippo Pine Bar. And over the other side we have Poor Rugged Lark. It was another very interesting mould, I will say. I won't say anything other than that, but very interesting. And Parlap, which is a mould I quite like. Shergar's over here. And Roxy. And a couple of John Henrys, which is a mould I actually do really like. And at the end, tucked away, I'm sorry I don't like US Spirit. I know everyone does, but I don't. And then some more stablemates. That's like my least favourite stablemate mould. There's Mustang mould. But I still have 3 of the same run on it, so go figure. And then another extremely tippy mould living on the bottom shelf, the Frisian. Before I forget, at the bottom of the Schleich shelf, I also have some in-box stuff. Just a few things that I've picked up that I've already got, so there's no point in taking them out the box, really. And also this little guy who cost me a grand total of £2 from a charity shop a couple of years ago. And also, again, another random little shelf. This is the only 2 plushes I've got. The Breyer Fest one from a couple of years back. This big guy that I found at a car boot. and a few of the like the Dapples / Ponies ones, and then some Henry books and Heath's little pin. And then we're moving over here, so that's that shelf over there that we just did. We're now moving this way to, you guessed it, another Breyer shelf. I'm realising as I'm going through just how many I have. These are like molds that I really quite like. This is like my second favourite shelf, really. So we have Smart Chick at the top. Not a mold I go out of my way to collect, but really pretty. And then the Mawari, the Missouri Foxtrotter, the Andalusian, and the Gypsy Van are on the end. Really testing my knowledge here. And then at the front, I might as well do them because I'm going to forget them. These are like felt little puppy in my pockets and kitty in my pockets that are again from like my childhood era. That they just sit there because why not? And then we have Nakota down here. I got her because she was cheap. I found her for a really good price. And she feels like she should live on this. Or he. I can't remember. I think it might be a he. But I feel like they should live on this shelf because it's quite a rare and popular model. But don't know how I feel about it. And then the Lonesome Glories with their ears almost touching the top. I really like that mould. And then this was a total impulse buy last year at Breyerfest. I was mourning not getting another model that I wanted, so I just picked up that guy instead. But I do quite like him. And then the gaming stock horse, which I would totally collect more if they weren't so bulky. And then a couple of Totiluses at the end. And some more little pupskis at the bottom. And now I've shuffled it on the floor to the next one, where we have some mares and foals. Don't necessarily all go together, but they pretty much do. We have Marabella at the back there, and then the Lipzana mare, and the Andalusian mare by a bell, and then some of the foals at the front, Amber and Ashley, and that's the Lipzana foal, isn't it? And then we have the American Saddlebred Stallion, which is a mould I really like. But I don't see that many for sale for a price I really want to get involved with. And the Saddlebred Weanling, who looks a little bit startled there. And then the Giselle Galen sets. I love these, I really do, but I just don't see many for sale. But I was so happy with the being able to get Callista in the UK later last year. And then we have the Forever Sage. Quite an unpopular mould, I feel. I quite like her. She's got a cute little face. And the Madison Avenue. And the Andalusian fold at the front with a whole line of Gilens. And some older stablemates. These are the only older stablemates I've got, so they live here. A few of them are disabled. That guy, they're held up with bits of Lego. And so that guy there. Before I forget, I also have these are the little resins they did a few years ago, about a decade ago now, I should think. The rare resins that I'm trying. I'd like to collect them all, but I never see them for sale not broken, so that's that. Then we have the Geronimo mould. We have the three mixer in the mixer series, or three of the mixer series, the first three. I'm trying not to collect the rest because I don't need another collection, but these three were ones that I really liked. The Pluto mould. The Let's Go Riding from that. The little bouncers, which is super cute. I don't really like that iridescent one, but the Hope of the Year one, but it's so cheap for so long that I ended up getting it. And then at the end we have the Smarty Jones mould. I wish they would release more on this Polo Pony variation, because that's the variation I really like. And they've done one easy to get release on it. And some little kittens at the top this time. Kitty in my pockets. And then we have the Australian stock horse. The celebration horse from last year, I think. He's pretty. And then we have a childhood one, Bluegrass Bandit and Bear, which are a cute little duo. The Connemara mare mould that I swore I would never get any of, that I now have two of. But I really like the Bay, that Sable Island horse, and I think it looks really good as a unicorn. And then it's the Dundee, the Spanish Stallion. Not as pretty as I actually thought in person. I liked him much more in the promo pics, but there we go. The little Heartland High Tech on the Hackney mould, and then the 3 leaning up Huckleberry Bay as they always do. And then we have like whatever these are, Jungle in My Pocket and stuff. Don't worry if you thought we were done with Breyer, we're not. I still have more. This is the section that I put my vintage models in, because I have the boxes up behind them and to the sides of them, and I really like the vintage boxes. So this is very vintage and very nice. At the top we have the start of my Cantering Welsh Conger. I can't fit them all on one shelf anymore. And then we have the second bit of my Cantering Welsh Conger with the Western Prancer on one side and that little guy on the other side. Really cute. And then down here we have my 5-gaiter conger, which is another one that I quite heavily collect, as you can tell, with my poor little shrinky guy. Was he CH Sprinkles, I think he's called. Very shrinky little guy. And at one end I have the only vintage club model I have in my collection, which is Kiowa, I think, on the jumping mould. And then we have another jumping horse the other side, bookending it. And then down here in the middle we have the pony that started it all. We have the Western horse. We have Glitterati here on the left, which is my probably top 10, top 5 favourite regular run models of all time. This was the 65th anniversary one. And he's this really gorgeous glossy bay Appaloosa, and he really is so underrated in my opinion. As is actually the little Western pony next to him. The one they did, it was like retro style. He's really cute as well. And then we have some Pippin, Pony of the Americans. That's Pippin, who was actually my second ever Breyer horse, one side. And some more Pony of the Americans and Western Pony the other side, with that Legionaro on the end. Sorry. And then at the bottom, we've got the tippy ones that I don't trust anywhere else. We've got the Morgan Glans on one end and Locanos on the other. And then we have a load of the Black Beauty mould that I don't collect and I don't like, but here's 8 or 7 of them, 7 of them. 4 of which are the same model, 3 of which have the same sock variation. And up again, we've got Clydesdale Stallion box, and the Clydesdale Stallions and mares. Again, another poor little shrinky living there with the Clydesdale mare. I really like the Clydesdale mare mould. And then at the front we've got all the little Clydesdale foals and the scratching foal mould. The next one down is Adios. And I've got the yellow mount box. I've got a few Adioses. I really do quite like them and they keep appearing. And then the Pacer in the middle, which is another one I really like. The Indian pony, no, not Indian pony, Appaloosa Performance Horse, which is another one I like, I don't really know why. And then the Stock Horse Mare, and Stock Horse Mare box, and then Standing Stock Horse Foal, an intruder into the Hess lineup with Midnight Tango, and some unfortunate looking Sea Stars and Phantom Wings, not Crocessa's finest sculpting moments. And then we got Stock Horse Stallion. This is, I think, like my third biggest conger. Purely accidental. I don't even like them that much, but they appear and they stay. And then Sham on the end, the 3 Sham releases I've got there with Sham in the middle. And then the Lying Down foal, which took a long time to track down in the UK, and the mould number 1, I believe, still on Identify Your Breyer right at the top of the page. It's the Action Stock Horse foal, which I've got a lot of. Up the other side with the Proud Arabian mare, I've only got one of this guy. I've got a lot of orphans because I've got the Proud Arabian mare. I've then got a little conger of Misties going. I really like the Misty mould, and I managed to get sort of nicely one original Misty from each sort of decade or couple of decades, because if you don't know, Misty is Breyer's longest running mould. It's been in production since it came out in like the 60s, 70s, probably early 70s, I think. So I have like one from the earlier era, the very orange one from the early 2000s, and then the modern one. And then I have a couple of proud Arabian stallions, and then I have some orphaned proud Arabian foals and some Stormies. As we go down to the next shelf, which is running mare box, but at the end we actually have touch of class. Then we have a few running mares, and then we have a total aberration in my collection, which is this almost iconic how terrible he is running stallion unicorn with the blue butt type thing. And then another running mare foal, a mare box at the end, and then a load of running foals that don't all have matching mares. And then down here we've got the family Arabian mare, two original family Arabian mares, both slightly different. Then there's a wood grain, which is the only wood grain in my collection, and just a regular run next to it from like the 90s, who looks a bit creepy with his camera light, but isn't that creepy in person, I swear. It's just that the lights aren't very good down here. And then family Arabian stallion, probably my oldest Breyer, which is this black family Arabian stallion charcoal with the eye whites. And the big old bubble butt Belgian that for some reason I still only have one on this mould. And a fast box at the end. Then the little polo playing ornament from last year with the poor polo ponies that are forever laying down because I don't have bases for two of them. And a couple of family Arabian foals. Don't worry, if you thought we were out of Breyer, we're still not out of Breyer yet. This is the other side of that shelf. And we have the light's slightly better here, so I have some of my favourite of the Hess moulds, really. So we've got Sanda Bingo on the end. It's really sweet little mould. And then the Indian pony, which is a very sweet little mould, I think. I love her. She looks like she's just wandering down the field on a lovely sunny evening. And then we've got my original and quite bad little prince who never stood up, still doesn't stand up, on the Merry Legs mould. And a couple of Bay Shetland ponies. And then down here, we have the Black Foundation Stallion, which isn't one of my favourite moulds, but it fit here, so this is where it is. The Quarter Horse Gelding mould, which for some reason I really quite like, especially that this web exclusive from a couple of years ago in this glossy Palomino. And then Quarter Horse Yearling and a Blackjack on the end. And then the other side, we'll get to the classics in a minute. We've got the Avero Paint, which is a mother mould that I'm not particularly keen on, but it fits here. And Hala, which is a mould I'm very much keen on, but I've only managed to get 3 of, and one of which on the left is obviously a Shrinky. And then we have the Trichina on the end. The poor Bravour that never got any love. And you know what? I love him. I quite like this mould. And then down here we have another very unpopular, this time for horse welfare reasons though, at least. There's Midnight Sun and a couple of Midnight Suns and a couple of Stretch Morgans and the Black Stallion, I want to say. It's quite hard to remember all these names. And then the El Pastor mould, and on the end, another tippy one, the Hanoverian. So that was part 1 of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. And the other half of the video is also now live on my channel, and we're going to be looking at the My Little Pony and the Schleich, as well as carrying on with the Breyer. We hadn't quite finished the classics. So thank you for watching, and hopefully see you in part 2.